War has come to Middle-earth.
This is the work of Sauron.
Such a pleasure to meet the three of you. My name is Sudhir, Srinivasan, and I'm an Indian film critic. We've got, of course, Markella, who plays Brandy Food. We've got Megan, who plays Poppy. We've got JD Payne, of course. Markella, Megan, you both play Harfoot characters. And I've got to ask you, just like every Frodo needs a Sam, every, Nori needs a Poppy.
Oh, love that. So nice.
Could you say something that you really admire about each other's characters? Maybe let's start off with something bright.
I think something that I love about Nori is just her gumption to go for it, whatever it is, and the intrigue in that. But also, I think it's really interesting this season that both of them sort of have separate individual growths, and it's been really lovely to watch the growth of Nori's arc that Markella portrays. It's really quite amazing to watch you work.
Thank you. With Poppy, I think her ability to trust, I think she really, Nori really tries to get her to go through quite challenging things and make some very brave choices. And even though Poppy really doesn't want to, sometimes she just trusts that it might be the right thing to do. So I really admire Poppy's just trust in the friendship and trust in Nori's instinct.
One of my favorite things in The Lord of the Rings about the Sam Frodo friendship, for example, is about how sometimes Sam seems more like a protagonist than Frodo from time to time.
Absolutely, yes. It's my reading.
Do you strive to invoke such comparison when you're dealing with a similar sort of friendship here? Or do you try very hard to stay very far away from it, to create its own identity? How do you do that?
I don't think either or. We neither are trying to purposely mimic and invoke it, nor are we trying to do something completely different.
Yeah.
I think,
because it's an obvious comparison that people are going to make.
Sure, yeah. And I think Tolkien's characters are always in our minds as we're creating, and so we're trying to make it feel familiar, but also to have it be its own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a series about a lot of darkness, the Harfoot characters bring a lot of mirth and light to the whole series. And yet you feel like they're constantly being underestimated everywhere. What's something very special about these characters, you think?
About these two in particular?
Yeah, about Harfoots in general.
Well, I think it's because people underestimate them sometimes that they're able to surprise the world and surprise the audience with what they're able to do. The stranger lands in their backyard, and other people may have turned their back on them. But as they were just talking about, there's a sense of curiosity and gumption, and also a sense of loyalty that these two characters sort of in totality feel towards the stranger, and that will change the course of Middle Earth.
I have walked across mountains and deserts to help my friend find his destiny. One the fate of the world may depend on.
That's true, yeah. I mean, you were saying such nice things about Nori. For me, I absolutely love that she's got an uncurtailed adventurous streak about her. Refusal to be boxed into anything, and it feels like it stands for every person who cannot, there are always a type of person who just cannot be boxed. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you try with the love and force and coercion, you can try all of that.
Yeah.
Do you take after such a character?
I definitely feel like I share a sense of adventure that Nori has, but I feel like she's her own. She exists in her own space with how curious and adventurous she is, and I really admire that about her. But she does need to rein it in sometimes. She's a little far.
Watching your adventures with Ista, especially, it feels like that could have its own episodes. And I say this mainly because I love that for all his magic and strength and everything, the both of you often end up saving him from time to time as well. So do you want to talk about the dynamics that you share with Ista?
Yeah. I mean, Nori and the stranger have such a strong bond, and I feel like they've really recognized within each other from the very start that they've either been misunderstood or they really need to find certain answers or explore the unknown, and they haven't been allowed or granted the time or space to. And so I really feel like with it's a consistent theme throughout their friendship that they're really actively trying to show up for each other, but also show up for what their purpose is. And I don't want to speak for Poppy, but it definitely is something that Nori wants Poppy to be a part of as well.
Yeah.
And What would you?
Because you bring Poppy into the picture, sometimes these characters can be seen as an extension of the more fundamental personality, which is Nori, for example. How do you strive to create a separate identity for Poppy? Maybe from a writing standpoint, from a performance standpoint.
Do you want to talk about performance? Or?
I think Poppy is her own identity. She's her own character, literally. And I think what you'll get to see this season, especially, is that she has her own growth, and she's doing it alongside Nori, which is really lovely. But she's definitely got her own path. I think that she's sort of heading in that kind of direction, and I think just her own characteristics, also the way that she's written, is just so herself, and it kind of always has been. It's always felt like JD and Patrick have always really sort of known her from the very beginning.
And the two of them sort of form a unity, if you could say. Like, there's a line they have season 1 where they're talking about it, and they say there's head sense and heart sense, or head sense and heart sense. So there's the idealist and there's the pragmatist. In some ways, Nori is very much the idealist, Poppy is very much the pragmatist, and you need both. You need the idealist who just says, "What if?" and consequences be damned. Let's go and try something. And you also need the pragmatist to say, "Oh, wait a minute now. Like, let's make sure we yes, your vision is correct, but let's make sure we're doing it in the smartest way possible."
How it can be accomplished. As a final question, there are so many wonderful places across the series, right? So many locations with their own characteristics. Individually, where would you like to be, if you could? One place, one group of people.
Anywhere in the Middle Earth. I would love to hang out with Tom Bombadil if I could. Like, that would be an amazing, great dinner to have. But also, in general, probably with the elves. I enjoy
because of their immortality.
Well, because of their wisdom. They've been around so long, they've seen so much. I would just love to just sit there and pick their brains for hours and hours and hours.
Lovely. Markella, you?
Khazad-dûm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I love the dwarves. I've always loved
You don't mind the
dwarves.
darkness so much?
Not so much, no, because there's so much heart in there, and they put their heart and souls into everything they do. So
I get claustrophobic though. The idea of being underground. I don't know.
I know, but with the right personality.
But they're a good hang. They're a good hang, definitely.
Yeah. Anywhere the Ents are, I love them. I love nature personally, and I just think they're so cool. Yeah.
Lovely. I'm pretty sure we could have a longer conversation, especially about the dwarves and the sense of love that they sort of channel into the whole series.
Yes.
But it's been a pleasure chatting with all three of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you so much.